All right, I'm the flatratemaster, and today we're talking about what SAE tools should a technician have in his toolbox in a metric world. All right, so I got asked this question in a comment, and I wish I remembered your name, but you know, if I don't mark it and copy and paste it, it's lost to the ethos. So it was a good question, and I had to think about it. If you guys remember my background, I came over to the automotive end of it from medium-duty trucks. So my entire career, I've had SAE tools. You know, a lot of kids coming up nowadays, you know, it's like 5/8. What's that? You know, you go, it's 16 millimeter. So I've always had SAE tools. And I still have a ton of SAE tools. Most of which are not here, they're in storage. Because I don't work on medium duty stuff anymore. But it's a good question. So, for starters, I have SAE tools on my roll cart. Why? Well, for starters, quarter inch socket on a quarter-inch drive. Why? Hose clamps. You know, those small little hose clamps are quarter-inch drive. You got to take them off or you got to use them. I use a quarter-inch socket. What other tools do I have on my cart? Wrenches. 3/8, 7/16, and 1/2 inch. Now you're going, well, why? Well, if you've ever done aftermarket calipers, the likelihood of them being the original size is pretty slim. 9 times out of 10, they drill them out and put something else in there. Sometimes it's SAE. Sometimes you're working on an older truck and it's SAE. So for bleeder screws, I keep the 3/8 and the 7/16. Also 5/16, but I don't keep it on my cart because it's a lot rarer, and 8 millimeter works for it. So, and 1/2 inch. Well, why 1/2 inch? Well, if you've ever dealt with those, well, let's just say it, crappy battery terminals, they're 1/2 inch drive. So to take them off, solder on new ends, shut up, Leon, you need a 1/2 inch drive. I'll also keep a quarter-inch drive 1/2 inch socket for the same reason. Simple reason is battery terminals. Shut up, Leon. All right, so we talked about that. That's what I have on my cart. But what tools should a technician have in a metric world? Well, for starters, I would recommend a good, not great. I know these are snap-on. You don't need snap-on. Go get yourself a decent set of standard SAE wrenches, you know, at least to 3/4, you know, a set from like 1/4 inch up to 3/4, something like that. Husky, gear wrench, you know, just an average okay set. Doesn't have to be great. Get you a set of those. That way when you run across something, you have the wrench for it. We're going to get to another reason why you need those wrenches in a second. Next, some sockets. Well, we talked about a couple sockets that I have, that I use on my cart. What are the sockets? And why would you need them if you're not working on, you know, older stuff? Well, I'll tell you. Pullers. None of these are metric. These are all SAE. Threads are SAE. The heads are SAE. Now, there are some pullers that are metric, but chances are they came from overseas or you're across the pond. This is a snap-on power steering pulley puller, if I could say that. It is 1/2 inch. Now, this isn't so much of a big deal, except you're going to wear it out, it's going to rock, you're probably going to hurt yourself if you don't have the right size socket. Now I also need the wrench for that size. You're also going to need the wrench for the other side to hold it. That's 1 inch. Again, you don't need snap-on. These are power builds. You don't need snap-on in big sizes for most of what you're going to do. Now, I recommend wrenches in up to 24 in high-quality wrenches for if you're doing alignments. So at least a decent set of 3/8, maybe 1/2 inch, depending on what you're planning on doing. If you're using like a hub grappler or that kind of thing, you might invest in a set of SAE impact sockets. But a cheap set of chrome sockets will get you by for most work, or impact sockets if that's what you want to go with. I personally prefer impact. But next thing, bigger wrenches. Again, you're going to need wrenches for those pullers. Like my hub grappler requires a 1.25 inch wrench. You can use a, Alabama fix-all. You can use an adjustable wrench, but I prefer the actual wrench. Tends to damage it less. If you work on Ford EGR systems, the old style, 1.1/8 inch, 1.16 going to be your best friend. Maybe some crow's feet in those too. A little old school, but they still come in handy. Couple other things. Set of SAE hex sockets. Not used a lot, but if you're doing brakes on a GM, on older GM, you're going to need a 3/8 hex socket. No way around it. Before you guys start going off about pullers, yes, some metric sizes are close enough to SAE that it's no big deal. 5/8, 16 millimeters, basically identical. 19 millimeter, 3/4, basically identical. But the problem is when they're not, is where you get in trouble. To give you a great example, the forcing screw on my hub grappler is SAE. I had to get the forcing screw warranted because those two guys were using metric and basically destroyed the head of my forcing screw. So when you're got a little play, you probably need to invest in the right tool. Individual sockets work great for that. Figure out what size you need, order it. Don't spend a lot of money on it. Go to Amazon, go to wherever and go, I need a 1.1/8 socket. That'll work for $4. Unless you're working in a shop that does a lot of older vehicles, this is all the stuff you're going to need. Basically a few sizes for miscellaneous stuff, tools for your pullers, and that's going to be it. I mean, it's a metric world. So hope you liked this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like it, subscribe. Make sure to hit that bell notification so you get notified when I put out a new video. If you didn't like the video, give me a thumbs down. Comments are always appreciated. And as always, thanks for watching. I am the Flat Rate Master.